Are subscription boxes dead? Do we have a body on our hands? We need to know if they're dead, who killed them, what happened. Do you have any contributions? Am I boring you? Okay, well, thanks. This case means a lot to me. I was like the subscription box girl. We need to figure out what happened to them. A clue. Thanks. You might not have Nancy and Ned, but Max and Michel are on the case. We're on the case, okay? Let's talk subscription boxes. Welcome to today's episode of Max and Michel Investigates, which is truly just my excuse to pretend like I'm Nancy Drew for 1 minute. 1 minute of my life, I just want to feel like I'm Nancy Drew. Today's topic feels personal. I did coin myself this, no one else did, but I coined myself the subscription box girl. My channel grew rapidly during a time that all I did was really just unbox subscription boxes. These videos would garner hundreds of thousands of views when my channel was baby. People loved them, but 2025, we hardly hear about subscription boxes anymore. Something's happened. Where did they go? First, when you look up the subscription box market as a whole, the market projection says this. The global subscription box market size is expected to be worth around $139 billion by 2033, from $38 billion in 2023. So within 10 years, that is a massive growth. So you see that and you think, oh, no, they're doing okay. But if you dive a little bit deeper, that is factoring in convenience subscriptions, and that is completely skewing the stats. When you look at lifestyle subscription boxes, which is what I unbox, which are beauty products, wellness products, home products, things of the sort, that is totally different from convenience subscription boxes. Convenience subscription boxes could be your pet food that comes every single month, could be your razors that you need to replenish, could be your toilet paper. It's just things that come on a subscription basis delivered to your doorstep. So the niche of lifestyle subscription boxes is not doing what the market says it's doing. 2019 kind of seemed like the start of subscription boxes gaining some popularity. 2020, they exploded. I mean, what else happened in 2020? Obviously, our world shut down. There was just not as many opportunities to A, spend money, and to B, have things that like sparked joy, felt like a fun thing to look forward to. It was just kind of a dark, sad time. We were all stuck at home looking for anything to grasp onto. And so I think subscription boxes really became escapism for a lot of people during the pandemic. But I did think it was really interesting to see most of these had a sharp decline starting in 2021. For most of us, 2021 is when things kind of got back to somewhat normal. And all of a sudden, there's new opportunities to go out and spend money. Do you want a box in the mail, or do you want to go out to dinner with your friends? Like, that became a new decision that people now had to make with their dollar bills. There were a few like big key original players, like FabFitFun was one of the ones that was around from the start. I think they were founded in 2010, and they are still around today and seemingly doing okay in comparison to the other brands. But those key players were no longer the only ones. A ton of more niche subscription boxes came out. Are you single? There's Single Swag. Are you a pet owner? There's BarkBox. Are you someone that loves jewelry? There's Roxbox. There's TheraBox for mental health. It got more and more niche, which is great. But with that, the industry just became more and more saturated. It's almost like a little bit of decision fatigue in terms of consumerism. It's like, have you heard about why Trader Joe's does so well? Trader Joe's does so well because you don't have decision fatigue when you go in and you shop there. If you want ketchup, there's one ketchup. If you go into a huge store, you actually spend less because when there's 8 different types of ketchups, you're like, I don't want to decide between these. I don't want to read the back. I don't have time. It's okay. I actually don't need ketchup. I'll just get it some other time. And you walk out without it. So I think that the decision fatigue and just the oversaturation of the market definitely had something to do with it. I actually just did a little deep dive on TikTok, and there's a few different sentiments I see when I look up subscription box, anything of the sort.
You know what I'm sick of?
What?
Subscription services for everything.
Yeah.
I'm so sick of them. I'm tired. Like, it started with streaming services and it seemed like a good idea, right? It was like, okay, cool. Instead of buying DVDs, I can just pay X dollars a month and I can get all these shows. But now they're starting to take away the shows, and there's 900 subscription services for things.
Yeah.
They got subscription services for washer dryers. I saw there was an idea for subscription services for cars.
It feels like you don't have control over your money as much when things are just automatically withdrawn from your account. And it's little tiny things that add up. Apparently, statistics show that 2 in 3 Americans underestimate how much they're spending on subscriptions, because $10 a month here, $10 a month there, it doesn't feel like that much until it adds up, and then it's actually $300, $600 a year. The average user on this app called Rocket Money apparently has 7 subscriptions that averages $273 a month. That's the average. There's plenty of people that are far beyond that, and I honestly think apps like Rocket Money are giving people a lot more awareness of their passive spending, things they don't realize necessarily add up to the extent that they do, and being able to see it in all one spot and being able to easily cancel within an app has also kind of brought a lot of consumer awareness, I think, to the impact of just these things compounding, adding up over time. So because of that, subscription boxes aside, I think just subscription culture in general, people are much more apprehensive. I think also something about just the way humans act and think and feel is that something will feel really exciting for a little bit, but then when it starts to get repetitive, it loses that sparkle, it loses that shine. I think having complete mystery within the boxes that you are receiving sounds really fun and exciting the first time, maybe pretty fun the second time, but by the third time, if there's some things that just don't really resonate with you, it starts to feel like this is a waste. I'm not going to use these products. I don't wear lipstick, and I've gotten 2 lipsticks in every single box that I've received since I've started to subscribe. So I think that also there's a big shift away from the just complete mystery randomization of boxes, and people started to favor a little bit more when they actually had control over what they were choosing, which is great because you're being a lot less wasteful, but also some of that kind of like surprise mystery is taken away. It doesn't feel like someone sent you this gift. It feels like you online shopped and you picked these things out for yourself. So there's pros and cons to that model, and I think people were starting to feel those pros and cons either way a little bit more. I also feel like there's been a general shift to where people want fewer things and better things. Obviously, minimalism has been on the rise since the 2010s. So being more mindful with your purchases is something that I'm just seeing more and more and more across the board. Instead of having 10 shampoos, people would rather have one shampoo that's maybe a little bit nicer and more expensive that they really love and that they feel like works for them, instead of having all of this clutter. And a lot of subscription boxes were more like mini or even trial sample size products, which started to just feel wasteful. I was always a fan of full size boxes and never really a huge fan of trial size, mini sample size boxes, because in my mind, I'm essentially being paid to be marketed to for those tiny little sample sizes. Oftentimes, if you go into Nordstrom or even Sephora or spots like that, brands will give you a sample to hope that you like their product and come back and purchase it. But if you are paying to receive sample size products, that starts to feel like, wait a minute, am I paying to get essentially like a marketing email? A couple other TikToks that I just want to pull up and reference really quick. One is from a creator called Asta.
The thing that stopped me from buying random crap that I do not need, like some subscription box for a surprise whatever delivery every month. I didn't need that. If it's a surprise, I didn't even know I needed that. What stopped me was a friend telling me, look at the clutter lying around your house. That used to be money.
That's an interesting sentiment right there, that if it's a surprise, you didn't need it to begin with. And that's another interesting thing that you do see across the board, is once these products start to accumulate that you have essentially paid for, but that don't necessarily apply to you or fit your lifestyle or products that you want, or maybe you're sensitive to fragrance and there's fragrance within this lotion, whatever it might be, that guilt kind of compounds. These products and items have an expiration date, and it's kind of like a ticking time bomb of like, use it or lose it. I paid for it. I guess I'll keep it. Should I give it to someone? Does anybody want this? And that, I think, has a little bit of a psychological weight on people. That brings us into some of our case studies. With these things in mind, you will see that brands that have A, offered full-size products, B, offered the option to customize and personalize your products or even skip some months if you don't need anything. And C, sometimes have much more niche, repetitive, kind of consumable nature to them are the ones that are thriving. It's also been really interesting, you will see here, a lot of the brands that are doing well have started offering a marketplace in addition to their subscription boxes. Some of them completely getting rid of their subscription concept as a whole and basically transitioning to only being an online store. Because I do think consumers, they want a curation of goods. They want to know, oh, I can go to this website and find a lot of things that have like the aesthetic that I like, or I can create a gift basket for someone and I just know that it's a one-stop shop for that. But they don't want to feel like suckered into having to have 6 items every single month or every single quarter. So I think that the brands that have evolved with that kind of consumer culture are the ones that are doing okay. But let's first look at some brands that have died. Kinder Beauty, this was a box that I was able to work with quite a few times. I really liked them. I like what they stood for. They were very sustainable. They were vegan. They ended in December 2023. The company cited various reasons for shutting down, including a lack of social media engagement, supply chain issues, and rising liabilities. I will put some of my sources down below. Apparently, they were never really profitable and they just had enough in December 2023. Glossybox is one that I'm surprised by. I really like their products. They even expanded into doing their own skincare line once upon a time. They did advent calendars. I loved their advent calendars. They did full-size things, great brands. One of the best, but they actually ended their US operations. So now they're only in the UK, but they ended their US operations July 1st, 2023. They announced that they would no longer be offering subscription boxes in the US from that day forward, according to their Instagram. Loot Crate was another that went bankrupt in 2018. Curlbox closed in 2023, even after teaming up with Ulta in 2021. There are some that are essentially dying. Birchbox is one of them. So this was acquired in 2023, the spring of 2023, by Retention Brands after its previous owner entered a bankruptcy alternative process, and it was once valued at $500 million, but in 2021 it sold for $45 million. That's less than 10% of once what it was valued at. Roxbox. This was a jewelry subscription company. It was more of like a jewelry rental subscription. You did have to return each month, but they have shifted and completely ended their subscription service in favor of an online e-commerce platform. An interesting case study is actually Causebox. Technically, Causebox died. It was rebranded to All True, which came back a bit later. Causebox was a brand that I got to work with every single quarter for a year, maybe longer. I got really close with some of the women on their team. I would do some of the marketing content for them. So I would basically like produce ads for them to run on their own. They basically would have full-size products in their boxes that would support causes directly. So this product supports women in this area that made these by hand, or this product, 40% of profits go to support enter cause here. That was kind of what they were built upon. And I thought, wow, what a great cross section of everything. Consumers are getting full-size products that are really beautiful and well curated. Causes are being supported, and then brands are getting really huge marketing by being featured in these boxes. But then all of a sudden, April 2022, I get a text that, hey, we've all been fired today. Everybody has been fired. They laid off, I think, 50 employees. But then 2 months later, they came back. New owner, new name, new branding. So I found out that at the time they did something called like an ABC filing, which is different from filing for bankruptcy. It's a lot more private. You don't have to like publicly announce it and disclose it. So it's much more hush hush. Allegedly, some news sources were trying to add up how much Causebox, or All True, one and the same in a sense, owed some smaller businesses, and several small businesses came forward saying, I'm out this much money, I'm out this much money. And one source reported that they owed 21 small businesses a total of $2.26 million for 209,000 units of product to be featured in their subscription boxes. I do think people lost a lot of trust in boxes as a whole when that kind of just came out of left field. wasn't really being talked about, some sketchy behavior, and even the employees seemed a little bit out of the loop. So I think that 2022 becoming so public and also just so kind of like what is going on, that made people much more hesitant to trust these brands that say, hey, I'm supporting brands, I'm supporting causes, I will deliver a box to you. People had paid for a box and then never received a box because of all of this that was happening. And that is business in a sense. Like, things can go wrong, businesses can go under and fail, and then maybe you've paid for something and you won't receive it. But I think that several sectors of people being affected all at once, the employees, the causes, the small businesses, and the subscribers, was like, oh, this is a little bit sketchy. So that's just an interesting thing that happened within the subscription box world. One of the key players, they were not as big as some of these like FabFitFun, BoxyCharm, all those sorts of things. Now here's some that are seemingly doing okay. Here's a case study on IPSY, which is also BoxyCharm. So apparently IPSY acquired BoxyCharm in 2020. They were kind of major rivals in a sense. So IPSY has something called its Glam Box, which is mini trial size products, but that is what you're signing up for. You know that you're getting it because it is $14 a month. So in comparison to other subscription boxes, it feels like a low lift. And they offer other boxes with full-size products as well. Apparently it's $32 a month, 5 full-size trial products, or there's the Icon box, which is a quarterly box, $65 a quarter for 8 full-size products. That is all an interesting model because you are basically giving people tiers. They can kind of upgrade or downgrade depending on how they're feeling, what they want, what they can financially justify in that time. And apparently their annual revenue is $99.6 million a year. I think one of the boxes that is seemingly doing the best is FabFitFun. They were one of the first of its kind. They're a massive company, kind of one of the first to do this quarterly full-size model. They innovated really well because I think that they had a lot of capital. They were one of the first to do their marketplace as well. There's no public available projections for their revenue in 2025, but it was reported to peak at about $300 million a year in 2023, which most brands were seeing a big drop off after 2020. So the fact that it is reported to have peaked in 2023 is really interesting. But they have been implementing strategies all the time to support growth, expanding into international markets, diversifying product offerings, enhancing personalization through data analytics. That's one thing that I have noticed when reading about all of these different boxes, is the ones that have leaned a lot more into kind of being a tech company and really studying consumer behaviors, offering more in-depth quizzes. What do you like? What do you not like? What color eyeshadows do you usually use? What color blushes do you usually use? Do you like perfume? You don't like perfume? All of those sorts of things, and making it a little bit more data driven has really seemed to help brands a lot more than the ones that kind of were like, what are the products that we can get in bulk as cheap as possible and look as impressive as possible, and simply just relying on that as their business model. I will say some other boxes that seem to be doing really well are like BarkBox. I am someone that would totally subscribe to something like BarkBox because it is for my dog, someone that I love arguably even more than myself. And seems like something that will kind of have wear and tear and need fresh things. Like toys get gross, toys get ripped, you kind of have to dispose of them after some time. So replacing it with new toys, treats, grooming products, things like that do feel more consumable, and they do feel like, okay, well, it would be nice to refresh that every once in a while. Also, a really interesting company that I think has done things really well is a brand called Bespoke Post. They are made for men, and they do have a subscription service, but you are able to skip it every single month. No harm, no foul. And what they seem to be focusing on more these days is having just kind of curated gift sets. Let's be honest, shopping for guys, so hard. So I feel like they kind of appealed to women and men in the sense that if you're shopping for your brother, your dad, your husband, any man in your life, you can go on and say, this is kind of a cool trio of products. My man likes to fish, and this has like a really interesting tool that I've never seen before that goes along with blank and blank and makes a really well-rounded, unique, personalized gift. And so them diversifying in that way, and they've seemed to focus on fewer, much more high quality, much more unique products. Their boxes are more expensive, but it is kind of that consumer shift that we talked about earlier, that people seem to want less, but better. So what are my final thoughts here? Am I over subscription boxes? In some ways, yes. In other ways, no. I think that I did start to feel like unboxing subscription boxes for content was really repetitive and really wasteful. And I think that that was kind of a shared sentiment through people just buying them for themselves as well. I would still be so down for a quarterly box of full-size products with a large array, a large variety, some things for my home, some things for my kitchen, maybe an accessory, maybe a beauty product or two. That once a quarter is great to me. That sounds exciting and something that I could financially justify at this time. Subscribing to a ton of recurring monthly boxes with small things, with not very curated items, that does not appeal to me at all. More specific niche things like something for my dog or something for my husband that helps me gift, helps me replenish items that are going away and need to be replenished. That feels useful and helpful for me too. I have mixed feelings, I have mixed thoughts, but I think it's really interesting that in my lifetime, I've never really seen a product category or a type of business just boom so quickly and then die so quickly, and also kind of so quietly. And maybe I'm hyper aware of it and hypersensitive to it, since at one point in time my content seemingly did revolve around it. It's an interesting deep dive case study. Nevertheless, watching how brands evolve, watching what happens to them, and just watching how consumer culture shifts. It's just fascinating to watch us as humans kind of go through seasons, ebbs and flows, and prioritizing different things based off of what is happening in our world and the novelty of concepts and items. I think that that is really something it boils down to a lot too, is this is no longer novel. This has been around now popularly for more than 5 or 6 years and under the radar since 2010 is when most of these companies that are bigger to this day started. So that's 15 years ago. I have some other Michel Investigates concepts coming up that are a little less research heavy, a little more let's get our hands in some things and really just get up close personal, test some things out and see what's going on. So if you enjoy this content and would like more of it, it means so much to me if you would like this video. Let me know your thoughts. Give me some ideas that you might have. How are you feeling about subscription boxes? What else do you want me to investigate? Let me know down below. And if you'd like to subscribe, that helps me out a lot as well. Thanks for watching this video. I love you. Hope you have the best rest of your day. And we'll see you for another investigation very soon. Bye.